the Pro Wrestling Vault. 35 short stories including Harley Race, Ricky Morton, Tracy Smothers, and Tim Storm, along with 300 photos from the independent scene, taken from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Get your book today by going to WrestleVille.com or LanceByChance.com. WrestleVille, it's where wrestling lives.
Are you a fan of horror movies?
Necronomicon Ex Mortis, the Book of the Dead.
What about cult classics?
Your move, creep.
If you are, you'll love Shocking Things. Please search for us on all the major podcasting platforms. To see our social media and a direct link to our podcast, please go to anchor.fm/shockingthings.
And hello, everybody. This is the NWA Spotlight presented by PWC. I am Rick Del Santo, and joining me, as always, Micky Biggs. How are you, sir?
Again, what is it with people not being able to get my name correct? It's the man, the myth, the legend, the franchise, the benefactor that is Micky Biggs. All right, so we lost an NWA legend, of course, this 2 days ago, a couple days ago, Rocky King. Yes. Rocky King was a preliminary wrestler, started working with the Crockett's in 1985. First started out as a referee, and then eventually they put him in some matches. He was homeless. He started hanging around the arenas and such, and so they finally gave him work.
A bunch of the wrestlers went to bat for him because he used to carry their ring gear, help set up the ring, help tear down the ring, was just always around the arenas. And he really, truly, if anybody has ever paid their dues in this business, it was him.
He became a huge advocate for homelessness and worked benefiting, trying to help the homeless over the years after that. For years, up until his death, he would set up wrestling events in churches and such. And they were all family-friendly events. He would not allow any swearing. He would not allow any extreme style action. He trying to make everything for the kids, basically.
Absolutely.
And he was not your typical, I guess, lack of a better term, jobber as well. He actually would get a little offense in, a lot more offense in. He would prove that he was actually quite the worker.
Absolutely.
And he fought the horseman a lot. And of course, in his later days, he ended up becoming part of, loosely associated, I guess, with the Freebirds, and repackaged as Little Richard Marley.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, rest in peace, Rocky King. Of course, NWA USA this week, Saturday, Kyle Davis opened up with the new junior heavyweight champion, Homicide. Homicide is very happy to be there with the belt, walking around the belt. He's champion. He's going to He said, "Hey, this is heavy. Look at this," alluding to it's being similar to the 10 pounds of gold, the NWA World Title. He promised that he will remain champion for a very long time, which leads us to Homicide taking on Doug Williams. This match was really short.
It was really short. But yeah, exactly. It wasn't entertaining, though. And you're right. He did elude. I don't know if you heard the specific comment he made. He said, everybody talks about the 10 pounds of gold. He says, but see how heavy this is.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Homicide, he's been in the business for years and years and years. He's, been in the ring with a bunch of the greats, and he is a well-deserving champion. As a matter of fact, one of our future guests that will be on with us is a former NWA Junior World Heavyweight Champion, either 2 or 3 times. I can't remember exactly. But he is definitely a former NWA World Junior Champion. And, he's glad to see that belt, come back to the forefront of the NWA.
It was a very important title at one time, and it seems like they didn't really do much with it after the 80s. Kind of disappeared, or took a back seat, I should say. You didn't see it much after, say, Danny Brown held it, right?
Yeah, probably about that. And the funny thing is, when NWA first started, it was only the world title and the NWA Junior World Championship that they had. And then, of course, they went in with all the other belts, the national, the U.S., all this and that. And like you said, it kind of took a back seat to everything, which personally, I think it was wrong. Let's face it, it's the NWA Junior World Heavyweight Championship. Whoever is in that spot should just about be guaranteed to be the number 1 contender for that 10 pounds of gold. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way.
Now I think that how it is, I think it is the national champions automatically, which would make it currently Jack Stain.
Correct.
All right, there was a backstage video announcing the debut of Caprice Coleman. Caprice cut a wonderful promo saying that he's here and he is ready to compete in the NWA.
Yes.
Of course, Caprice has been around quite a long time. Ring of Honor. And maybe had the TNA stint as well. He's been around a long time, so I'm looking forward to him competing in the NWA.
I think he's going to make a huge impact. Huge impact. No pun intended.
Oh, absolutely. Kerry Morton defeated Gustavo Aguilar. This match was just about a minute, 2 minutes. It was nothing special.
Was it that long?
Yeah, maybe. Probably about a minute, honestly. It was Kerry Morton. What do you think of Kerry Morton? I've been a fan of his father's for many, many years. I think he's this kid's pretty good.
Yeah, he is good. Of course, I've seen him a couple times, tag with his father on a couple different occasions. And, he's really, really good. He's got a great head on his shoulders for the business. Of course, he's learned from his father, so he's learning from one of the best that are out there.
Right. We're going to get into some Ricky Morton talk a little bit later as well. On top of that, Mae Valentine interviewed the NWA National Champion Jax Dane. She talks with him about the upcoming number 1 contender match. Dane says both Marseille Rocket and Jay Bradley have no right to earn a title match since his contract forces him to defend his title. He will do it. He makes it clear once again that Rocket and Bradley are not on his level.
I kind of have to agree.
I like both men. The match ended in a double DQ, just for the record. I like both men. I just don't think that they're really. There's got to be a couple more years before they're on that level, I guess.
Oh yeah.
They're still quite young, the two of them. I mean, I think Bradley had a little experience, and he worked TNA for a while, but he just give him a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing. Jax Dane's been around for a little while, and he's got that edge of experience, and he's the champion for a reason. Let's face it. So, and he's one of those guys that definitely not going to be an easy time going to take that belt off him.
Speaking of, let's talk about that before we get into talking about Power. How do you think the national title is going to go? Who do you think is going to be able to take that title from Jack Stane? Do you think Anthony Mayweather is going to come back and take that belt from him? I don't think
it's a possibility. I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's a good question. There are a lot of people that do have the ability to step into the ring and do have the ability to be that champion, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, who is it that is actually going to step up to the plate against somebody like Jack Stane and be the one to take that belt off him? That's the number one question. And to step into the ring with Jack Stane and say, yep, I'm going to be that guy. Well, you better be prepared for a fight, because he's not going to let that belt go easily. And he's definitely not going to, take that match lightly, because he loves that belt. He loves that championship, and represents it well so far.
Who do you think in the NWA is good competition currently for him? Obviously, we just broke down what we felt about Marche and Jay Bradley. What about Wrecking Ball Legursky?
Wrecking Ball would be a good champion, and he'd be a good contender for that. But let's face it. Who did Jack take the belt from?
Yeah, Anthony Mayweather.
And like you said, is he going to come back and be that that guy that takes it from him? That's what we got to wait and see.
Right.
But in order for that to happen, card's got to fall the right way, obviously, and hope that he doesn't lose that belt to somebody like a Wrecking Ball before that, or even like a Chris Adonis, or
right.
So a lot of people step up to that plate.
For some reason, I don't think that Chris Adonis is right in the picture currently. Not ready to come back for it. I'm just looking. I have a feeling it's going to be someone different coming forward, but if it's not Anthony Mayweather, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would have to agree. But I, like you, I've got a strong feeling it may be Anthony Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, that story's not over with. There's more to that. That's one of those old school storylines that has a lot of longevity to it if they do it correctly.
Right. NWA Power from this past Tuesday. It opened up with Matt Cardona being interviewed by Kyle Davis to kick off the show. He complained about Tim Storm's interference in the Crockett Cup. Said Tim Storm can beat him in a non-title match. You go to Billy Corgan and see about getting that stipulation that Storm can never challenge for the NWA title, get waived. And they go, obviously they shoot back at the intro with Galley, Storm, and Velvet Sky, and you could see regardless of the tan, the redness in Tim Storm's face, how upset he is, and he is saying he wants it. So I have a feeling that's going to happen. And that, I'm going to look forward to that. I'm a huge Tim Storm fan. I love Tim Storm.
Yeah, Tim Storm is he's awesome. And again, another one that's been around the business forever, that has so much experience in the business of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
So, another one that's got that head on their shoulders for the business, and can, a great mind for it.
I think that he, the funny part about him is I didn't realize it was him. I used to watch him in a different promotion. I didn't realize it until years later that it was the same guy. That did you ever hear of this? There used to be an older organization that for some reason they had a little bit of time on national TV called Traditional Championship Wrestling. Did you ever hear of this organization?
TCW.
TCW? Yeah.
TCW.
And it had Chris Cruz doing commentary, and Ken Resnick was a part of it. And they had a bunch of, and it was really good, professional looking. And for some reason, recently I went back and I found a bunch of videos and watching it. I didn't realize that Tim Storm was on it. And he had longer hair too. He had a mullet. So I forgot all about this guy. And then I was like, holy crap, it's Tim Storm. So apparently I've been watching him for a long time.
Yeah, TCW, they didn't have a long shelf life,
No.
but for what they were not bad.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good product. It's just a shame they didn't last. But every so often there comes a promotion that just pops up randomly, gets a little bit of national television time for a few months, and then will just fizzle into obscurity. That's happened a lot. Growing up, look at like Herb Abrams' UWF, was it Paul Apperstein's AWF?
Yep.
Stuff like that. It just happens every few years, it seems like. And then that's what happened with that. I remember it was on, like, I literally would wake up at like 5 a.m, like Saturdays, and it would be on. And, I think that, if I remember correctly, Matt Bourne was in there using the Doink gimmick, but it was actually Matt Bourne. So,
I mean, like you said, once in a while you'll get that promotion that does that, but then every once in a while you get a promotion like Ring of Honor that comes out and has that longevity, and they make themselves so much bigger than what anybody ever expected them to be.
Right. I mean, it took a long time for Ring of Honor to get to that level.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely it did. But they did it by working hard, and they did it by, going that extra mile and taking the advantage of the unknown and turning it into something that was theirs and harnessed it, kind of like what ECW did in the beginning.
Right. The thing with Ring of Honor, they almost went out of business a million times.
Absolutely.
It was like they didn't know for years if they were getting from one show, if they were going to go to the next. It was always, it's most likely going to be our last show. I hear Cornette talk about it a lot on his podcast. I've heard, I've read about it a lot. People thought that it was going to happen.
It's true. A lot of people thought it was going to happen. I mean, and a lot of people was probably sitting there going, well, why are you guys talking about Ring of Honor? This is an NWA show. You're right. But there is a connection there that a lot of people probably don't know about. And that is the fact that a former NWA world champion was part of Ring of Honor, helping them out in their locker room. And that was none only than Steve Corino.
Yep. Steve Corino was there for a very long time. Yep.
So that's why the connection is there for Ring of Honor and the NWA podcast.
So the NWA Women's Champion Camille defeated Maddie in a non-title match. It was Natty, just Maddie. She was introduced at this match. Was literally nothing. Not much to speak about.
Yeah, it was not much to speak about. But I like Camille as the champion.
Yes, absolutely. Do you realize
There's something about that?
She walked out here, she's supposed to be the heel, and she got quite the pop. I think
yeah, I know.
Yeah. It seems like that's where it's going in the NWA. Like, they just cheer for whoever they like.
I mean, and that's how it should be. I mean, you should be able to feel free to cheer for whoever you want to cheer for, boo whoever you want to boo. And that's one of the things that always made The Rock and John Cena so great, is they just went with it. They didn't care about the boos. They didn't care about the cheers. It was, they went with whichever way it turned.
Right.
And had that ability to adapt to it right there in the middle of the ring at that given moment. And, as you just said, that a lot of the fans for the NWA are doing that very same thing. I'm hoping that the boys in the locker room and the girls in the locker room will learn to take advantage of that and do just that same thing and switch it up, as quickly as necessary as needed. I mean, let's face it, it's the fans who make or break the wrestler.
Right.
They love you, then you're gonna get that ovation, then you're gonna go places. If they boo you all the time, and then you're going to go places because you're still, as they say, putting asses in seats. But if you go out there and they have absolutely no reaction to you whatsoever, see ya, have a good day. We don't need you because you're not doing anything for us.
And that's happened a lot, quite often. I mean, I'm sure you've been involved in the business for 30 years. I've been a fan for damn near 40. So it's one of those things where you've seen and I've seen people walk out and people have no reaction whatsoever. People don't even care.
I've been part of matches like that.
Right.
I mean, I'm in the ring and they introduce my opponent and they come out and they're like, yeah, okay. What's your point? Yeah. And at that point, it's obviously I've got to try to, I'm the heel. I've got to, maintain my heat. So now I've got to figure out what I can do to get him over, to get the crowd behind him, to make me that, look like that heel. It's not always easy, but you got to learn to adapt.
Let's see. The Pope was interviewed by May Valentine. In the back, he wanted to let Cardona know that he's coming for his title. Pope also said he understands that Trevor Murdoch is coming from his recent change of attitude, but doesn't want him to forget who stood with him and where he comes from. I think that if it's the Pope and Cardona, I mean, it's about time they start putting the Pope in that title picture, that 10 pounds of gold title picture, because that's been talked about for about the last year, and he's quite deserving of a title shot by now. Former television champion, the guy's over. The guy is probably one of the best talkers in the professional wrestling business.
Yeah, I would have to agree that he's. There's not many that can compare to the Pope on the mic,
right?
And if you are that person that can compare to him, then you're probably in one of the bigger promotions like AEW, Impact, WWE, because they're outside of that. There's not many people on the independent circuit, and certainly nobody that I've really seen that comes close to Pope's ability to be on the microphone in the NWA. I mean, there's a couple people that are close, but Pope is one of the best, if not the best, in the NWA.
Correct. I think you're right. Let's see. The Cardona family, VSK and Mike Knox, take on the ill-begotten Jeremiah Bucket and Rush Freeman. This is I don't care for Mike Knox. I never did, probably never will. In WWE career was nothing special to talk about. VSK I like a lot, and I liked his work in Ring of Honor. I think he was in Impact quite a bit.
Yeah, but like you said, Mike Knox, I can do without him. Cardona, well, we already went over how I feel about him.
Yeah, but then we're going to talk about him a lot in the future, as long as he's NWA champion.
To me, it's really truly a good thing, and I don't say this with any disrespect to, the former champions, Harley Race or Dusty Rhodes, any of them, but it's a good thing they're gone and past, because they'd be rolling over right now. I really think that they would be boycotting NWA for putting that belt on Matt Cardona.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I heard Ric Flair saying it was a good choice, but I don't know. I don't like him as champion. I don't like Matt Cardona. His attitude, and you realize that obviously being part of the business, I know that it's a character, it's a storyline, but the problem is with Matt Cardona is he has that same storyline everywhere he goes. And yes, he's bringing, all that recognition to the NWA and the NWA World Title picture. But, I mean, he's blatantly being disrespectful to legends like Mick Foley, and to the point where even somebody like Mick Foley was like, Matt who? F him.
Well, wouldn't you agree that it's sort of like he's doing that as part of his character and as part of a storyline in a way?
And that's what I said. It is a
yeah.
storyline and it is his character, but I just think he's too abrasive for the fans to actually, the old school fans to latch onto. The old school fans of the NWA, the ones, the fans that remember what the NWA was. I just think he's too abrasive for them to latch onto, and he's not going to get the draw. He'll get the newer people, but the newer people are not what makes the NWA. It's that old school.
I get that, but like I said, the one thing is that that the only reason I feel that he has the title, and like I said before to you, is that because he gets attention. He's wildly popular right now. Do I think he's my favorite wrestler? Not by a long shot. He's not, anywhere near that. I don't think he's really all that interesting. But like I said, there's a lot of eyes on him, so that's pretty much the reason why they went in that direction.
Absolutely, and I get that.
And the reason why I do agree with it is because I love the NWA and I want that kind of attention on the NWA. Maybe it's going to draw those fans in that would not normally watch the NWA because they're Matt Cardona fans or they know him from GCW or wherever the hell.
And I will give you that, but I'm going to rebut it with this now. What happens to those same fans when he does drop the belt? Now they're going to be gone.
Well, like I said, maybe he'll bring in those fans and they'll discover the NWA or find something that they like about the NWA to stick around. I think there's a good chance that will happen.
You would hope so, yes. But if okay.
Do you think everybody stopped watching WWF once Hogan left? I'm sure they did.
That's the point I was just going to get. That's the point I was just going to get to. You're Matt Cardona, and you have that specific fan base, and everybody's coming in to see me wrestle because I'm there. I'm the NWA champion. I'm there. Now, all of a sudden, I lose that title. I'm not the focus of attention on the NWA. Where's my fans now? They're off someplace else, wherever I am going to be, because I'm going to be over someplace else doing the same thing. And that's the problem I have. That it's an attraction, but what happens when that attraction is gone?
Yeah, but that goes with any wrestling promotion, though. You think about it.
Yes, and no. But we got to remember that, like old school NWA, there was no attraction. It wasn't, an attraction. The World Heavyweight Champion went territory to territory, but it wasn't built as an attraction. It wasn't booked as an attraction. There wasn't a specific fan base for that person. It was for the NWA. It was to see who was coming out. If Dusty Rhodes could beat the Black Scorpion in the steel cage and the Black Scorpion had to take his mask off, everybody knows it's Ric Flair, so everybody's there to watch it. But if Ric Flair left the NWA and went to the WWE, oh, wait, he did. Everybody still stayed with the NWA/WCW because they were fans of that. They weren't necessarily a fan of Ric Flair. They were a fan of that. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen with the whole Matt Cardona thing. That, yeah, you might get the handful of people like, oh, you know what? This is great. We need to watch more of this. But what happens on the flip side when on the other side of that coin, when everyone's like, well, Matt Cardona's here. Why do I need to be here? There's nothing going on here now.
I don't expect to see him sticking around after he drops the belt either. He's only here
exactly.
He'll only be here for a cup of coffee. Let's be honest with you.
Exactly, and that's my point, and that's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of him having that belt for too long. That it could hurt them more than it's going to help them in the long run.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll just have to see how this plays out. Because, obviously, I think he's going to be here a little while. But like I said, I don't think he's going to be here for that long. It's going to be a few months. So
I would say 3-4 months, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about right. That's about what I'm giving it. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's see where else we got here. Let's see. Kyle Davis interviewed Chris Adonis in the back. Davis asked Adonis about Latimer's comments that Strictly Business is finished. Adonis said he's better as a solo act anyways. He's going to try and regain the national title. I don't think that that's what he says. We were just talking about this recently. I don't think that he's going to. I don't see him in that picture. Do you see him turning babyface and going after Jack Stane? Or I don't see Jack Stane turning babyface. He just turned heel not so long ago.
Yeah, and I definitely don't see Chris turning babyface. He's too good at being a heel.
Yeah.
He's too good of a heel. And let's face it, his entire career, for the most part, he's been a heel.
Yes.
And speaking of Matt Cardona, Nick Aldis was just on doing an interview talking about him. So give me 1 second. Gotta check the old sugar here. There we go. It's telling me to check my sugar, so I'm gonna do that every so often, being a diabetic.
I don't think, like I said before, I don't think that Adonis is going to be in that national title picture, at least for a while. I mean, what's your opinion?
He's a character, and I don't mean that in the sense of, of a wrestling character. He's a character that is based on who he truly is. Like, his character is an extension of himself. Like any good wrestler, he lives his character. I don't think that he'll be out of the title picture for too long, because I don't think his character will allow it. But I don't think he's going to jump right back into that title scene either. There's going to be something that builds up to that a little bit. And it's going to take a little, I would say probably 60 to 90 days he'll be back into that picture.
Okay.
But I don't think
It'll be
before that.
interesting to see in 60 to 90 days who's holding the national title and where Jack Stane and the national title are in that 60 to 90 days. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. I really do agree. And then, switching gears just ever so slightly, another one that I'm interested to see where it's going to be in 60 to 90 days is the television title.
Tyrus now has 6 victories, correct?
Correct.
He only has to have one more.
Yep.
And then he gets a world title shot.
Correct.
You don't think that he's actually going to get a world title shot, do you?
I do.
Against Matt Cardona.
I do.
You don't think that's going to be him that takes the title, do you?
It's possible. Who's in his corner?
Austin Idol. Man, I don't ever want to see him with the world title, the 10 pounds of gold.
That will be the definition of a transitional champion.
Okay. I really just hope they don't do that. We'll have to see about that, honestly.
It's funny we're talking about Tyrus right now. I meant to tell you this last week. If my baby brother was about a foot taller, him and Tyrus, it could be his doppelganger. I kid you not. If people have come up to me and asked me if that was my brother, and I'm like, no, he's a foot too short, he's a foot too tall to be my brother. I said he's a brother in wrestling, but no, not my blood brother, because they look a lot alike. It's ridiculous.
Wow. So May Valentine interviewed Scion in the back. He accepted Tyrus' challenge to try and body slam him. I will take Tyrus NWA television title. Taryn Terrell then interrupted Scion and rolled his eyes and laughed. Valentine asked Terrell about, was it Paola Blaze, now that her team With genocide has broken up, Terrell avoided the question by saying she heard Blaze is shopping. What the hell? Okay. The Body Slam Challenge. This is where we're going. We're talking about the television title. You don't think Scion's going to do it? The Masked Man.
I mean, it's possible, but I don't think it's probable. The thing is,
I think they need to do more with Scion.
Right, I agree with that.
He came in very strong, and all of a sudden they just started having him lay down too quickly, too easily. And I think they should have had him and built him very strongly before he would take a loss. You get what I'm saying here? Built him as...
Oh, I agree. And, you know, like you said, he came in strong, and all of a sudden now it's almost like Scion who?
Yes.
Like you know, it's like he's that forgotten gem.
Yeah.
And yes, he's the diamond in the rough, but I think he's broken through that. You know, I think he's broken through that diamond a little bit. You know, waved off that coal dust, and
you know, in a match, like he had his mask cut open and it was bleeding. And who was that against? Was that against Tyrus? The match where he was.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly. I'm sorry for anybody if I got that wrong, but you know, he got squashed on quite a few occasions, and he's been teamed up with like enhancement talent, if you know, for lack of a better term, like I said. And it's kind of sad because like I said, they built him as this strong guy, the mystery man. He was going to come in and crush a lot of his opponents. And it had a lot of potential. I think the character had a lot of potential coming in like that.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that I like Tyrus though is
like
on more than one occasion, he has paid homage to the late great Ox Baker by using the heart punch.
Okay.
So I think that's what kind of draws me to Tyrus a little bit. But the thing about him is he's like a modern, and I know that I'm going to get crucified for this by some of the fans for saying it, but hear me out what I'm saying. Ability aside, just sheer size-wise,
okay,
he's like a modern-day Bundy.
I'll go with
He's
that.
got that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying,
size. Does he have that talent? No. But he right now is the NWA's version of Bundy that people need to contend with. Whether the fans like him or hate him, he's there, and the other wrestlers have to contend with him because he's that force behind, you know, the immovable object, so to speak.
Right.
And you know, the fact that they're doing the body slam challenge, that brings reminiscence to Bundy, John Studd. That brings all that old school stuff into play, which I think is really good. But the question is, do they have anybody that can accomplish that, like, believably?
I do believe that they do. There's only one person, somebody that we talked about just a couple minutes ago.
Okay.
Chris Adonis. That's the only person I could see actually slamming him. Will he?
Believably.
Yes.
Believably.
Believably? Yes. I think they, you know, it would have to be. But like you said, I don't think it's going to happen. How often are we going to see heel versus heel in the NWA? It's not going to happen too often.
I mean, it's not unheard of.
It's not unheard of, and it is very possible. But currently, I don't know.
And the only thing I can see possibly, the reasoning for that would be is if Chris decided he wanted to go for that television title.
Right. Which it wouldn't surprise me though if he did.
No, it wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me either.
Trying to think of anybody else. What about Odinson from The End, the tag team The End?
Yeah.
He's kind of big, kind of muscular. He could probably do it. You just disappeared.
Oh, what's his name? I can't think of his name now. He's not the most muscular guy, but he's a pretty, decent sized guy. For the life of me, I can't remember his name. He's his manager's James Mitchell.
Oh, Judias.
Judias, yes.
Yeah.
He might be able to do it.
That's fair. That's possible. Yeah.
Believably, he's potentially got the size. He actually reminds me of a young like warlord barbarian type.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
When I first saw him, I was like, wow. I was like, he's got that character.
He did work. He did work in the NWA prior in NWA Anarchy, and
yep.
Was he in Wildside, or was that a little bit too early for him? I think he might have been in Wildside as well. I know he worked in that NWA arena down there.
I think he might have been in Wildside. I'm not 100% certain.
Probably since later days, but I know he definitely worked in the Anarchy days where he was still part of NWA.
We can get the answer to that question though when we do have the Wildside owner on in a few weeks.
Yeah?
No.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Former NWA, president. He did that whole territory down there, so.
Awesome. Yeah, so back to Tyrus. It's going to be interesting to see who is able to do it, where it comes from, and when it happens. So,
I do have a question that I want to ask Chris Adonis. And Chris, if you're out there and you're listening, I do have a question for you. And this stems from your WWE days. So how is it, or how do you feel about the fact that your finishing move, the Master Lock, which nobody could break for the longest time, was finally broken by Bobby Lashley, and now Bobby Lashley ends just about every one of his matches with the full Nelson and calls it the Hurt Lock? I laugh every time. I'm like, the irony there, how he broke that as the Master Lock, but now calls it the Hurt Lock, and it's like the greatest move in wrestling.
Yes, it's old school. It's an old school maneuver.
It is. But I mean, you took a move over from the guy that that brought it back to some type of glory. And then you break that, and then now you're like, oh, well, now I'm using it and calling it the Hurt Lock.
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, that was like the first time I saw Sting do the Scorpion Deathlock, but then you see Bret Hart do it, and it's called the Sharpshooter.
I think Sting was doing it prior to Bret, but don't forget that was also done. Way before that as well in Japan. I think, if I remember correctly, it was Masahiro Chono that did it.
Yeah, and I just like the difference in name, but it's the same.
Yeah, well, you have to throw some uniqueness on it in your, as far as your character, something that fits your character. That's especially if you look at things now. That's all it is. People just creating. They're doing some of the same moves, but they come without some outlandish name for it, for their move.
Another one, I love it, and it's not identical, but I mean it's too close to not be mentioned. Is the RKO and the Diamond Cutter?
Right. Well, that was, if you look at it, it was Johnny Ace created that when he was in Japan. Called it the Ace Crusher. So everybody from Stone Cold. I mean, I know it's very modified from, but it's essentially the same thing. The stunner and the freak and the RKO. It's essentially the same thing. It's still a cutter, whether you lay down or whether you're just chopping the guy's jaw on your shoulder. It's essentially the same thing. But Johnny Ace did that when he was in Japan, and everybody complains about it. That it's there's 9,000 names for that one maneuver.
One move that I think is unique, and I don't think I could be wrong. But in the 30 years that I've been around this business, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do the what's it called, the Styles Clash, other than JJ. I mean, people have.
No, I think he
created
that. Yeah,
but I don't ever remember anybody in history before him using that.
Nope, I don't think I've ever seen anybody using that. I think that he actually created that.
And that's a very unique move.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, he does it with such precision, and that I mean, if you like really watch that, you can see potentially how that can really mess somebody up if not done correctly.
Just dropping your whole chest and stomach and face onto the ground. Yeah.
I mean, you can really do some serious damage.
Let's see. Nick Aldis defeated Deontay Marshall in a squash, pretty much. Submitted him with the cloverleaf. And then we went to the main event. La Rebellion defeated the End to retain the NWA World Tag Team Championships. La Rebellion is on a roll. Those guys are great.
Yes.
Very good tag team. And I think the End, personal opinion, those guys keep getting shafted, it seems. They're a very underrated tag team. They're not. I think that they need a tag title run. This is just my personal opinion. I like Odinson.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I just don't think that they get enough attention and enough love from the NWA. They do a lot of jobs.
I'm just trying to see who this is. Oh, okay. Devon Graves versus Miguel Robelet right now. Mm-hmm. When I first looked up, I had to stop and rewind it to look at it because I thought that Graves, when I looked up just quick enough, out of the corner of my eye, I thought it was Marcel. But then I realized he's probably about 100 pounds heavier than Marcel.
That's funny. So, yeah. What else we got here talking about the NWA? We got a few minutes left.
I mean, the NWA is an up-and-coming promotion. Well, I'd say the new NWA is an up-and-coming promotion. Right. I think starting next week, we should get into a little bit of the history of what made the NWA the NWA. Okay. One of the things that I spoke to you about last week, and I actually sent it to you, was the whole thing about Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
And he was, as you read, was recognized by the NWA and was inducted into the NWA Hall of Fame. So
we'll discuss that a little bit further. I'm gonna do a little bit more research on this and put some stuff together when we do, as I said, celebrating the history and the legacy of the NWA, past, present, and future.
Absolutely. So, but the NWA has a deep, rich history, and we've been talking these last two shows, the inaugural shows, if you will, about the current product. So, I think it's time we start digging into some of that history that made the NWA what it is, so that the boys in the locker room that are in the NWA today have the right, the privilege, and the honor of saying that they wrestle for the NWA.
Right.
I was part of the territories. I earned that right. I earned that honor. And let me tell you, it was an honor to wrestle for a company like the NWA. And, even though I never made it to the world title picture or the main title picture of any of the the main titles for the NWA. Like I said, it was an honor just to be in the ring with some of those guys, or even say that I was working for the same company as some of those guys. So I think, we got to start delving into that history of, what made the NWA the NWA.
Absolutely. We'll be, the purpose of the podcast, like I said, past, present, future, the legacy. We're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. I want to get into events as well. We can take off some of the, maybe we can do a little retro review down the road of a big NWA event. Go back, watch it, celebrate it, and just discuss it. You get what I'm saying? Why don't you tell everybody about your other podcast that you're a part of?
It's in the Gorilla Position. We actually do two different shows. Well, the group of us do one show. It usually airs on Saturdays live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. We just talk about, it's me, it's Jason Rumble, Apocalypse from the NWA New England, Vinny Capelli, and Fingers, aka James Forbes, who is also the creator of our new theme song, which I hope everybody enjoys that. That new theme song and the new intro for the PWZ NWA Spotlite. And we talk about a lot of different things, a lot of wrestling. This week we are airing live, actually tomorrow, we're airing live. We're doing an entire night of a WrestleMania preview. And usually on a Wednesday night, so that would be tonight, Jason Rumble, the Boston Bad Boy, former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, my brother from another mother, my tag team partner, my brotherhood brother, does a show in the Gorilla Position with by himself. It's called Being Humble with Jason Rumble, and he brings in whoever he has for a special guest, just sits down and talks to him, gets to know about him, and like I said, just makes him humble. So that's in the Gorilla Position. You can check us out, like I said, on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And we got a lot of shows that are archived on YouTube right now, and just tune into Facebook for updates on when you can tune into a show.
And what time is that on Thursday?
Tomorrow it will be on starting at 8:30, I believe.
8:30. Okay. Luckily, I'll be home in time for that. So I'll be tuning in. I urge everybody that's listening to tune in, go into the Gorilla Position Facebook group. It's in the group, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So, and tune in. I tuned in for the first time last week, and I had a blast. I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, it's a great show. As you saw, there's a lot of strong opinions.
Yes.
The guy I was talking about, Fingers, James Forbes, who's like I said, when it created our theme song, he also created the theme song for in the Gorilla Position, but he's usually on air with us, but every once in a while he'll just sit and chat, and he'll annoy Apocalypse, he'll annoy Mike King, and he does it to all of us, but he really gets under Mike King's skin. And some of the posts that will go out, you just see the occasional comment from him, you clown, and that's his favorite thing. And I've known him. Oh my God, I've known Mike King, aka Apocalypse, Stiff Mike, whatever you want to call him, probably about 20 years now. And that's him. That's a lot of people in the wrestling business have characters, but that's him. Like, that is him. And he comes off as abrasive, but I absolutely love him. He's one of the best people I've ever had the honor of sharing a ring with. He's a former tag team partner as well. We were part of a group called the Seven, where he wasn't a person that talked. He was like Kane was in the beginning, where he didn't talk.
Right.
But instead of a mask, he used to, paint his face the black and red, like the what's his name there from Star Wars?
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul, and I think he was doing Darth Maul before Darth Maul was ever even in existence. And he actually started out as part of a tag team originally. It was him, and I can't remember his tag team partner's name, but they were called, I can't remember what they were called now. Oh, the something of darkness, Kingdom of Darkness, KOD.
Right.
They're originally KOD. It was him and his tag team partner. His tag team partner did the same face paint and everything, but he was blue and black instead of red and black. And then eventually I became part of the Kingdom of Darkness after they had left. And then from there, the Kingdom of Darkness ended up morphing into the Seven, and Apocalypse came back. But again, he was always that guy that didn't talk. And like I said, I can't speak highly enough of him. He's a great guy, great worker. Jason Rumble, same thing, great guy, great worker. And if it wasn't for either one of them, and if it wasn't for Vinny Capelli, who was the main booker behind the scenes of the NWA New England, I probably would have retired a long time ago. But they saw something in me that they just wanted to utilize. And as Jason Rumble said a few weeks ago, when he interviewed me, he said, he goes, when I first saw you, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with you. He goes, and then when I watched you wrestle, he goes, it hit me. He says, I know exactly what I'm doing with this guy. And at that point, I still wasn't sure what he was doing with me. And then I was watching the replays of one of our TV tapings, and I could hear commentary at that time. And as soon as I heard commentary say it, I knew Jason's vision for me. And they literally were saying, oh, look, here comes Big DA. He is a one-man gang in himself. So I knew right there that that's where they were kind of leading me to be that one-man gang type character. So my character for NWA ended up being a cross between Taker and one-man gang combined.
It's very interesting.
So,
yeah, no, I remember the NWA New England days. They were a lot of fun. I watched a lot of those episodes. You can find them all on YouTube if anybody's interested in looking those up. Looking up Mickey Biggs, you'll be able to find them.
Yep, there's one match up there for sure. That it was myself and the Juggernaut. We were in a handicap match. It's all I'm going to say, that's a hell of a match. It was a handicap match that was supposed to be 3-on-2, and the guy that was in the ring with me went to tag, and his tag team partners went tag, and finally one of them just decided to just leave the ring altogether. And as he was walking back around the ring, he kind of like ran, face to face to where I was, and ran back the other way. And yeah, he really wanted no part of that match, like literally no part of that match. Like that wasn't, that was not part of what the match, but it was part of the match at the end. So.
Well, everybody, it's about that time. Just take us out of here, Mickey. Why don't we tell everybody where they can find you?
So, everybody, you can always find me on Facebook, and you can always find me on Twitter and Instagram. Just look up Mickey Biggs, and you'll find me. And of course, I'm PAPW, doing a bunch of stuff with them now under that manager contract with them. Since we're talking about the PAPW, we got a big event coming up on the 15th of April. I personally won't be there for this event, so I know the ratings won't be that great for it, but whatever. Can't help that none. I will actually be in Jamaica at a event down there. So
don't forget April 30th as well, Power Play, that Paradise Alley is as well.
And isn't there another one coming up? Something Bullet? Something
Power,
Bullet?
Oh no, not Power Play. I'm sorry. Point Blank. I'm sorry.
Point Blank. Okay.
Power Play was changed. I'm sorry. I got the name of the wrong. Yeah.
Point Blank.
Point Blank is April 30th. Pardon me, guys. Yep.
So just support independent wrestling, support the NWA, and as always, just keep everybody working.
Stop talking about Will Smith.
I know, right? It's you, the fans, that make it worth it. Like I said, everybody knows now. I've been doing this 30 years, and I've always been that heel, that bad guy, for the most part. But one thing I always do is thank the fans, because Ric Flair said it best, and I follow it. I follow it to a T. Whether you love me or you hate me, you better learn to love me, because I'm here. And I thank you, the fans, every single time that I've ever stepped into a ring, every time I've stepped into an arena, every time I've done a podcast, because if it wasn't for you, the fans, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. My dream never would have come true. Same with you, Rick. I'm sure without the fans, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. And it just, it just makes it worth it, because, that's just the bottom line. It's you, the fans. And I don't care if there's one person in the arena or if there's 30,000 in the arena. Every single time I step out there, you're going to get the best show that I can possibly put on. I'm not going to cheat you, that one person, just because you're the only one there. So, for what it's worth, you fans are our bloodline, and you are the ones that keep us going. And I personally thank you from the bottom of my black heart. So, for NWA Spotlite, this is the man, the myth, the legend, the franchise, the benefactor that is Mickey Biggs. And of course, on the other side, we have
the Professor, Rick Del Santo. Folks, we will see you here next Thursday morning. Make sure you tune in. We're going to be having tons of great NWA action and the history, the legacy of the National Wrestling Alliance. Good night, everybody.
Have a great one.